Hello, dear folks, to all respected Eritreans. This is an English version that I have produced in Tigrinya just some minutes before. And the objective of my presentation in this evening is just to increase the awareness of Eritreans about what is going on in Libya. In Libya, just recently, there is a slave trade which is going on, according to CNN report. The report says human being is traded in the market for $200 to $500 per person in Libya. This is a gross violation of human rights in the 21st century. And many Africans are exposed to this slave trade. It is not acceptable, and it violates the human rights principle that is adopted by United Nations. And we Eritreans are currently exposed to this slave trade, and we have to tell to the world that many Eritreans are currently living in Libya, being exposed to the slave trade market. According to different reports that we are receiving, there are about 3,000 to 5,000 Eritreans that are living in Libya from a few months to 3 years period of time, and all Eritreans are exposed to the traffickers and are smuggled from one person to another, in the perception that these people are paying for the smugglers or for the traffickers to reach Europe. And this resource is becoming the main backbone of this military function which are working in Libya. As we all know, after the fall of Gaddafi, Libya is a lawless country. Different opposition groups are occupying different lands. They are fighting for resources, and they are using these Africans as the source of their as a resource of money to back up their basic needs, such as military equipment. And according to the CNN report, this has shocked the entire world, and many Africans have started to act aggressively for this slave trade activity. Just today, here in France, the capital city, Paris, many Africans from Senegal, Mali, etc., have joined together to voice their voices, what is going on in Libya, and they have condemned the embassy of Libya here in France to call for the respect of human rights and to stop without any delay the trade activity of humans. And this is not tolerated at all when you see human being is again traded as a slave in the market. And as Eritreans, many are stranded just to have hoping to cross the Mediterranean Sea and reach Europe. Many are dying in the Mediterranean Sea because they are using unsafe boats, and the traffickers are just more concerned about how to get money, not about the safety of these immigrants. And what makes it worse is that European countries are funding different military forces to stop this immigration to happen, and this is increasing the problem that is happening among Africans in Libya. Eritreans, unfortunately, are exposed to many crimes these days. For example, in Sudan, a EU-backed military force is arresting many Eritreans and sending them back to Eritrea, where they are facing prison by the PFDJ regime. This is big crime against humanity. And those who are living in Libya are facing slave trade. And we as Eritreans, we have to tell to the world that we are not tolerating this slave trade activity, and we need protection. We cannot face all the challenges that we have. It is beyond our control. And those human rights activists, especially Eritreans, who are concerned about the human rights of Eritreans, I call you to voice your voices for the safety of Eritrean refugees who are now stranded in Libya. Let's join our voices together and knock European Union or the United Nations that this illegal activities that is going on in Libya must stop, and Eritreans must have a safe protection zone either in Libya under the United Nations UNHCR, or must be moved away from Libya to a safe zone, either to Europe or other countries where there is rule of law. Libya is unsafe for Eritreans, and these 3,000 to 5,000 Eritreans cannot live there when they have no hope at all. And what we should do as Eritreans? As Eritreans, we have to go to all organizations that are concerned about human rights or about refugees, and we have to target this Libyan embassy across the world, that it must protect the rights of these refugees. Otherwise, Eritreans will be slaves, and this is intolerable in the 21st century. It is a shame for us, it is a shame for the world. And Eritreans are crying, they are dying, they are being exposed to crimes against humanity. Let's join our voices together, let's knock every door possible so that our brothers, our sisters can have a safe landing era or destiny. Otherwise, they will die there, or they will die in the Mediterranean Sea. And if we keep quiet, or if we keep silent, and then the Eritreans will have no chance but either face death or slave trade activity. Africans have now joined, especially those countries which are exposed to this human trade activity, like Senegal, like Mali, and many other Western African countries. Eritrea is a special case. We are politically disadvantaged. We don't have a safe zone in our country under the PFDJ regime, and human crimes are everywhere. And when we face again in Libya, it is beyond our control. Then let's call the international community. We Eritreans need protection. We cannot be exposed again and again to human rights violation. We need protection. We need respect as humans. We cannot be exposed to an unlimited period of human rights crime violations. In Asmara recently we have witnessed Eritreans are have no safe zone even in the capital city of Eritrea. And what is happening in Libya? It is beyond what we can imagine. Let's bring our voice together. Let's all those who are concerned about human rights join your voices together and knock either the European Union or the United Nations so that Eritreans can have a safe dawn. This is just a very short call, a very short alarm to join our voices with the rest of Africans and call for the respect of human rights. Otherwise, we Eritreans, we don't have rights in our home country, and in Libya we are facing slave trade. This is what we cannot expect in this 21st century, where there is at least a United Nations that stands for the respect of human rights. I call again all Eritreans to voice for the voiceless Eritreans which are living in Libya. There are about 3,000 to 5,000 Eritreans stranded there, living in agricultural field, unpaid, living in containers, in a miserable life, and waiting maybe for something, hoping to cross the Mediterranean Sea. When they die, we may cry, but it will not be enough. Let's voice our voices when we can. Let's knock every door if we can. Let's join our forces together so that there could be some meaningful act from the international community. In this 21st century, in 2017, slave trade is not tolerable. It is crime against humanity, and we should condemn it. And we are facing more than any other African countries, and we should knock every embassy, every Libyan embassy across the world, that it must protect the rights of Eritreans to live in Libya safely without facing this threat. Therefore, I am voicing my voice on behalf of the Eritreans which are living in Libya, being exposed to slave trade. I hope you will join me. I hope all these human rights activists to join your voices and knock the European Union. Stop its funding for military forces. Stop funding for governments like Sudan, and stop that are targeting Eritreans and keeping them in prison, and sometimes sending them back to Eritrea. We Eritreans, we have faced the same scenario in Sinai desert. Our body organs were sold like any commodity, and now the whole body or human being is traded in the market for $200 to $500 US, and we cannot tolerate this, and it is unacceptable. It is crime against humanity. All in all, let's join our voices to voice for the voiceless Eritreans which are living in Libya and being exposed to the slave trade. Saying that, I just conclude my message for this evening. Thank you, dear Eritreans.